Hello and welcome to the MMA Patter podcast. In this episode, I'm speaking to a guy called Michael Duckworth, who runs a company called Nutcessity, and they make and sell their own premium organic nut butter. We talked for about an hour or so about his company, about his vegan diet, and I personally just found it a very informative conversation. It's always great to speak to somebody or even listen to somebody that's very passionate about what they do and very eloquent with his opinions, and I hope you like this conversation too. So here he is, Michael Duckworth. So Michael, hello. How are you doing?
Hi, Austin. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. We've been speaking a wee bit, and we just want to get a wee kind of podcast thing started just now, and just kind of talk about a few things. So, so Michael, you run a company, and that's really cool in its own right. So, do you want to tell us a wee bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my company is called Nutcessity. So we make organic, premium, peanut-free nut butters. So I have a peanut allergy, which has been with me basically since I was a young kid.
Right. Okay.
Which was diagnosed when I was about 10, I think. So,
right. Okay.
So I started making them about nearly 3 years ago now.
Okay.
After spending quite a bit of time trying to work out exactly what I was doing after uni, after graduating with business.
Right, okay.
So I just discovered nut butter when I was travelling, when I was abroad in Australia, and just absolutely fell in love with it. It was something I'd never tried before.
Okay.
And this was 2013, so about 6 years ago. So I tried almond butter for the first time and absolutely loved it. And came back to the UK and started experimenting, basically. But
okay.
Yeah, I make nut butter. That's what I do.
That's pretty cool in its own right, I suppose. And then you said your company's been about for about 3 years. So what did you do in the interim between discovering nut butter and then setting up your own company then?
So I got back so this was on exchange at university when I was in Australia. So this was 2013. So I graduated summer of 2014. Trying to do this in chronological order from my head. A lot of stuff's happened.
Fair enough.
I tried to get a grad job, so applied for jobs in retail and in food, anything basically customer orientated or food orientated, and didn't get anything. I probably applied to about 12, got to about 4 or 5 assessment days and interviews, and didn't get any of them.
Right. Okay.
So then I started looking at restaurants and restaurant management and started working in restaurants. And I enjoyed that for a bit, but then I just couldn't see myself working in that industry for another sort of decade or making that a career. So I had a meeting actually with my careers advisor at Oxford Brookes. I got back in touch with her and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do. I can't get a grad job. I was a little bit like, what is going to happen with my life and how I'm going to make money? And she basically just said, in as many words, just do what you want to do.
Okay.
And this nut butter idea had been in the back of my head for a while, and I just wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to do it, and I had enough confidence to do it. Anyway, so long story short, eventually moved to Bristol and started working for a couple of companies in Bristol, and then set up whilst working part-time in an organic food shop.
Okay.
I did it, it's only been about 6 months actually since I've been full-time.
Oh, right, really? Wow.
Doing what I do now. So, fairly recently full-time.
But it must be kind of that first day when you became full-time must have been quite scary then. You're just like, right, I'm on my own now.
For a while I was working 3 days in a local shop and 4 days and evenings in the business. So I didn't really have a time to stop and think. And so when I eventually actually left that job and just started going full time, it opened me up a little bit, and it was great actually.
Good.
It still has. It has been great since.
Fantastic.
I've needed that to focus on it and really start pushing it.
Definitely.
good decision for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine, and it's quite a useful message for, I suppose, anybody that maybe is out feeling a bit lost, that they go, actually, I don't know what to do. Like, maybe maybe these grad jobs aren't quite for me, and then just do something that they actually love and feel passionate about.
Yeah, well, for me, it wasn't really. I didn't really understand. I think at first that I didn't have to follow that generic route.
Sure.
You know, that you do uni, then you apply for grad jobs, then you get a grad job, but then you start paying your student loan back, and I haven't really done any of that. The last part, I will do.
Of course.
But yeah, it depends who you are. It depends what your values are. It depends what you want to do.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of gut feeling as well. And I think I eventually started listening to that gut feeling.
Okay.
And realising that I might be better off doing my own thing.
Sure.
Yeah, so everyone's different, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, and you have to follow your own kind of path and things. And in terms of like what you've started up, so you're currently a one-man band then?
I have been since I started. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still full time. Do everything. It's as busy as it's ever been.
Good.
So, certainly looking to get some help with the business this year. So hopefully, I'll employ a couple of people towards the end of the year when I get a bit more backing, perhaps some investment. So that's on its way, and that's quite exciting and also pretty scary. But yeah, for the time being, it's just me.
All right. Well, I suppose you would know everything about your business inside out, and then once people come in, you'll be able to kind of mentor them and do the kind of do the Dragon's Den effort. Like that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I still watch Dragon's Den all the time.
It's a good show, really. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. It's interesting actually just to hear about the different routes to market that people have had and how it might inform what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in future, for me, it's about being able to kind of translate that vision and that mission to anyone who joins in future. So basically, the vision of what I do and what Nutcesty does is to make the most valuable nut butter in the whole food market in the UK.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I guess by valuable, I mean most appreciated, most loved, best-selling, all those three tangents. And the mission, how we're going to do that, is to make real, wholesome, and simple nut butters. It's as simple as that. Really good quality.
I suppose that's what every business should strive into. It should ultimately be a bit quality, because that's what brings people back. So, and would you say that your products is something that that you make? Do you eat them on a day-to-day basis then?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Good. Okay.
I think I'm quite lucky really that I'm doing something that I love, and it's hard work, and it's very unpredictable sometimes, and it's very up and down. But I eat probably about 3 jars a week at least.
Wow. Okay.
And that's no word of a lie. That's no hyperbole. I genuinely eat a heck of a lot of it, and I still lick out the container each time. This is going to sound like I'm making it up, but you should come around to my kitchen and you'll see me doing it. My parents see me doing it every day. So
you're just like, right, okay.
Yeah. I
love
my nut butters. I think they're great. That sounds really egotistic, but I think they're brilliant. And I've bought countless other brands, and I always want to be engaged in that conversation with people in markets where they say, "Oh, have you tried this other brand?" And I'm like able to say, "Yeah, I have. I like this about it. I don't like this about it." I love nut butter. I think it's just one of the most versatile, nutritious, delicious food products you can buy.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's just more as I'm thinking. How does that incorporate into, like, say, your diet? Because you did tell me that you're a vegan. So, like, what kind of, to another vegan potentially that either is thinking about incorporating that into their diet, what would you recommend to them?
Well, I tend to eat it either just really simply like on rice cakes and egg cakes and things like crumpets and bagels. I think of nut butter as like breakfast / snacking fare.
Sure.
And it's a big part of my diet, probably a lot bigger part of my diet than anyone else's, to be honest, as you just said. But yeah, it goes well with fruit, I'd say. I think it's underrated with fruit. Really nice with bananas and apples and in smoothies. I always have my oats in the morning with nut butter, so I normally just have like a sort of mash-up of oats and nut butter and seeds and powders and cacao nibs and whatnot, whatever I've got to hand. But yeah, each to their own. I think everyone has their own kind of way of eating it. But it's a big part of my diet, just eating vegan food, yeah, for sure. Definitely keeps me ticking over.
Yeah, totally. No, sounds it. And in terms of like the nutritional aspect of it, so like what does that, what do your products like include? Like what's their kind of value nutrition, I suppose?
Makeup, yeah. So they're all a good source of protein. So they're slightly lower than high in protein, which is 20% or 20 grams per 100 grams. So they're between I think 12 and 18 grams of protein per 100 gram.
Okay.
They're all high in fiber. They've all got plenty of heart healthy fats. So I'm definitely an advocate of fat. I think it's energy that keeps it's calories, that keeps your energy really stable. Rather than some carbohydrates that you can consume and kind of your blood sugar drops and goes up again and drops and whatnot.
Yeah, totally.
And then depending on the variety of what I make and sell, they've got different added ingredients with different nutritional values. So some of them have pumpkin seeds, which is really good for zinc and iron and magnesium. One of them has coffee. If you're looking for a kick in the morning, there's caffeine in one of them. So, but there's no like added sugar, there's no added oil, and there's certainly no palm oil. So that's definitely a sort of core aspect of what I make is just like no crap, basically. Can I say that?
Yeah, no, of course you can. You can say whatever you want. You know,
no rubbish. Yeah, no rubbish.
Good. Well, because it is something that I've kind of been looking out for actually myself, because I do eat like peanut butter. Like that's part of like my thing. Sometimes when I head back from the gym, I've got like Greek yogurt that I eat, put some peanut butter in, a bit of jam or stuff like that. And I've started to more look into the ingredients, and that palm oil thing that really gets me. Another way you look at it and you go, how much palm oil is actually in it? It's like like I'm not paying for the palm oil aspect. I'm paying for the peanut butter. That's like the taste. Where in fact the palm oil is like a filler almost, isn't it? And it's horrendous. It's like the worst, one of the worst things.
I'd sort of be keen to have that kind of jar that you're talking about next to the same, but without the palm oil, and to sort of compare them. I'd be interested to see how much of a difference the palm oil makes, because I'm sure it's there for a reason. But I mean, from what I've experimented with at home, I haven't found that I need to add any oil. I don't know if it's to do with shelf life or whatever. But,
okay.
I don't know. What sort of peanut butter do you buy? What sort of stuff do you like?
So I did used to buy just generic whatever, like Asda brand, Tesco brand, whatever. But I've now gone to Meridian. So
nice.
Just with them, just 'cause I quite like the fact that it's just 100% peanuts or cashews or whatever, and that to me just really appeals to me, exactly as you say. It's got nothing else added into it, and then I do like the fact that it just tastes exactly what you expect it to taste. You know, it's not got any sugar and it's not got any salt in it, even though that makes it really good, of course. But it just tastes what peanuts should taste like. And that way is having a wee spoonful, a wee tablespoonful after a workout is just, maybe it's totally placebo for me. I'm just like, oh, I feel healthy.
yeah. I don't think it's placebo, no. I mean, yeah, it might be, but it does do you good. I actually really like the almond butter that they do.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a really nice deep roast, that one. We used to sell stacks of it actually at the shop I used to work at in Bristol, so Yeah, I do still buy the Meridian one though.
All right,
Still
okay.
buy other brands.
No, that's good though.
Yeah, they
Like,
were pretty good. Yeah.
well, I suppose it's like it's ultimately up to your taste. Like, you might not always
Mm.
be in the mood for whatever stuff you make, as you say. Sometimes somebody else, you're like, oh, I'm in the mood for something else. Well,
Yeah, because I don't make the plain ones. So
okay.
when I crave just like a pure cashew butter or hazelnut butter, I'll just go out and buy one and probably tear through it in a couple of days. Because I sometimes slightly miss that because I like the fact that mine are a bit more. I don't really like this word, like innovative, but like a bit more experimental, a bit different.
Yeah.
I love mine, but yeah, definitely crave just a 100% almond one for
Pure
sure.
one, yeah. And was that a kind of conscious choice on your part with your products that you wanted it to be a bit out there in a way?
Yeah, definitely. As I say, when I started just experimenting at home, I was just doing like a pure. I was just having fun, just doing pecan butters and almond butters, and taking ages making them because I had an awful blender. But then, sort of working at the shop, just thinking, well, why? When I look at the shelf, when I look at hummus, for example, you've got plain one, you've got the smoked one, you've got the red pepper one, you've got the olive one. You've got all these different types, and you look at the yogurts, and you've got plain yogurt, you've got blueberry, etc., etc. So why aren't we doing that with nut butter and other products? You can get different nut butters, like different types of nut, but
Yeah.
in terms of added flavour and a bit more creativity and a bit more uniqueness, I didn't really see that from what I was seeing on the shelf, and I suppose you use that sort of cliche gap in the market. I think I was looking for that gap in the market, and I think I found it with the fact that there wasn't really anything that was organic and pure and without any refined sugar, but also with all this flavour and extra nutritious added ingredients. So that's how I landed on what I make. But yeah, there's certainly loads and loads of good brands out there now.
Yeah, good.
It's a growing market.
Yeah, I think it's it just in the last, like, I'd say like 10 years, maybe you can agree or disagree, but there's been a lot more shift towards like almost like healthy living. So it's almost, you get adverts like, you never seen it before, like, as you say, for like peanut butter. And I was really surprised when I seen adverts on the telly for My Protein, like protein shakes, and I was like, what? Like it, and then so part of that is like, fair enough, like supplements, a big part of it, but just whole foods, like not the company, but like foods of the earth.
Yeah, and even, sorry, have you finished?
No, yeah, I finished. Yeah, of course.
No, I was even in Tesco the other day, and you've got the. I don't know if you know the Natura brand. I don't know if you have it up in Scotland.
No, not heard of it.
Natura, I think they're based down in the southwest, but they just basically make, well, package loads of powders and superfoods and cacao nibs and stuff, and they've got 2 or 3 shelf worths now in Tesco, which is historically where you wouldn't really see that kind of product. And yeah, like My Protein, they've now brought on Joe Wicks to help sort of promote their products, which I think is like a great shout. And he has basically pushed the kind of healthy living, fitness side of food, especially, like particularly in the last couple of years. I think, I mean, everyone's keen to be happy, and everyone. I think more people are realising that one of the ways you can help yourself in that respect is eating the right stuff, and doing the right exercise and all that. So I think it's definitely catching on a bit more, the really, really healthy stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's just it's made me think, as you said that, like, obviously diet and exercise are two hand in hand. But I remember, do you remember the boxer David Hay? Yeah. I just remember, like, whenever he was fighting, every so often he'd fight somebody like as a filler fight, as somebody that's a heavyweight but is not quite there at his level, and he always used to say heavyweights are made in the gym, not in the kitchen. So to that point of view, it's just like you can't just work out so much and then not have a bad diet. You have to have both things together. You can't just kind of pick and choose. You can't have a great diet and not put the work behind it. So it's that kind of
I'd say it's like optimizing your diet as well, or optimizing your fitness in
yeah,
that
yeah,
respect. Yeah,
yeah,
because if you have a workout and then you don't eat until an hour later, it's almost like this opportunity cost where you've got that chance to build a little bit of muscle by eating the right stuff, and if you miss it, it's almost like sort of takes away a little bit of the workout, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Incidentally, he's vegan, by the way, David Hay. Don't know if you knew that.
What? Really?
Yeah,
I did not know
he's
that.
vegan.
Has he been vegan for a while?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's
He's definitely vegan.
well, Michael, my
So,
friend, you've blown my mind because I never thought that because he was a former cruiserweight world champion. Then he was a
oh, right.
heavyweight world champion because he stepped up in weight, and I didn't think that athletes of that are heavyweights ultimately can not eat meat and compete at a very high level. But wow,
Yeah, it's. I'm not like I'm an advocate of veganism, like as you can probably
yeah, of course,
tell. I wouldn't ever say it's for everyone. I think it depends on your body and your values and your interests and what you can and cannot eat. But
yeah,
I think if you can eat everything and you've got access to the right ingredients, like I imagine David Hay does,
yeah,
then I don't see why it isn't possible. I mean, I'm not absolutely hench, so I can't speak from personal experience, but I think there's perhaps a perception of protein being only available from meat and dairy, whereas I think it's been proven now that if you eat the right stuff and you're quite careful with your diet, you can get the right sort of sources of protein from just plants.
yeah.
And there's, as you say, like with My Protein, there's loads of vegan products now on My Protein. There's
really?
Okay. There's a whole section. So they've got all the proteins and all like the supplements. They've got a vegan bundle which I've bought previously on their website, which just gives you everything you need. You can just go straight from there. So yeah.
Oh,
It's possible.
No, I can imagine because there's a lot of things like that I've been looking into, like different kind of like my buckwheat has got the full amino acid profile, and so there's quinoa and things, and then like chickpeas and obviously are very good. But the thing that I've kind of been reading is about the bioavailability aspect of it. That like it's got the thing in there, but is everything going to be absorbed by people? So that's the thing that kind of put a wee thought in the back of my mind that granted, maybe somebody that's just likes to go to the gym, goes on a wee 10k run every so often, they can probably get away with it. But if somebody's like a high functioning professional, they might need every minuscule percentage just to get ahead, and maybe that would be stopping them potentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the. I haven't looked into that aspect with things like buckwheat and quinoa, and I'm not sure of the. So what was the bioavailability of those couple of grains? Were you saying they were good or not so good?
It's what I'm saying is I don't know what the bioavailability is. Sorry. In that, even though like in a lab they can say, yep, this has got all this good stuff for you, but how much of it will somebody eating it actually absorb?
Gosh, if you were a sportsman though and you had this it'd be overwhelming, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because they've got, obviously, you've got, like, as you say, you've got to get that extra 0.01% than your opponent on fight night or whatever sport you're doing. So it's not just the bioavailability, but it's like timing, it's what you eat certain foods with, it's like when you drink your water, it's...
Right, okay.
Because it depends on, obviously, or maybe not so obviously, if you eat a certain food with another certain food and you combine certain nutrients, then they're better absorbed into your body.
Right, okay.
And you can absorb vitamin C in different ways. So there's a whole like world of kind of eating exactly right. But I think for most people it's just about having a balanced diet, just eating what they feel comfortable with. And I've only been vegan for about 2 years.
Oh, really?
Before that, ate loads of meat, ate loads of yogurt and milk and dairy, and I was well into it, but
Oh wow, okay, didn't realise that. So what
yeah.
made you choose to, or what was the kind of catalyst to make you become a vegan?
I watched a couple of videos.
Okay.
So there was, I think everyone knows that there's these videos online. And, vegans will tell you to watch them, and I don't force them on anybody. But for me, it was about basically saying to myself, right, am I turning a blind eye to what's going on in the meat industry, or am I aware of what's going on and am happy to keep eating that meat? And I kind of had this, these two paths that I was looking at, having watched this particular video. And from there, I just started to. It was just a seed kind of planted in my head,
Right. Okay.
And I eventually did this 30-day vegan challenge and started reading into the environmental impacts and reading about how too much red meat can, potentially raise the risk of cancer, etc.
Yep.
And the 30-day challenge went okay. I had a bit of Greek yogurt in there.
Okay.
But I eventually just bought a whole year's supply of omega-3, vegan omega-3 and B12 and all those extra subs you need. And I just thought, well, if I can do this with those subs and I can feel good still in a year, then I'll carry it on. So I think it's, there's so many reasons though.
No, of course.
So many reasons.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say it's like the ethical reasons is probably one of the big ones, and granted, everybody has their own way they choose, and it looks as if you've done it a kind of the way you think's best. Have you felt that you've felt differently since you started to become a vegan than when you just had you had no restrictions on your diet?
I think I'm fitter than I've ever been. I'm not particularly fit, but I'm fairly fit in that I have a really, really low percentage of visceral fat. Actually, I got tested at the gym the other day.
All right, okay.
They just did all I don't know if you've done this recently, but I got my body fat checked out, my visceral body fat checked out, my BMI, all that stuff. And that came out pretty good. But Fantastic. The visceral fat percentage is the fat around your organs, like your lungs and your heart, etc. Mine is incredibly low, and apparently that is because I'm on the plant-based diet.
Right. Okay.
And certain forms of saturated fat from meat and from dairy kind of stick to your lungs a little bit more, apparently.
All right. Okay.
So that was really interesting, and that made me feel kind of like, okay, maybe this is going pretty well for me. I've been feeling good the last couple of years on it.
Good.
But I do think it comes down to what your values are, what you believe in. If you care enough, because if you don't sort of see the reasons, then it's not going to be sustainable. And also what you can find in the shops. If the nearest Holland and Barrett is 300 miles away, then it might be a little bit tricky. So,
I suppose so. Yeah.
It's not always the most easy sort of diet to follow. So, but I absolutely love it for one.
Good. I think it's one of these things that's a major lifestyle choice. You could probably agree that you have to be kind of in it 100% really to kind of succeed almost, because there's probably so much temptation. Like you can't go past like two streets and you see like a McDonald's and things like you go, wouldn't mind a wee Big Mac,
You say that, and I sort of agree with that, but I also think you can say to someone, I'm vegan, and you can now and again have something, once a month or something like that, and I think you can still be able to say to someone, I am vegan.
Okay.
I think when people think, well, okay, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be vegan. I think it's just that huge mountain, that huge visual mountain that suddenly appears. I think I've had a bit of milk chocolate recently. I've had a bit of honey recently.
Right, okay.
It's not a big deal.
No.
It's not a big deal to have one or two things like that, and especially when you eat out as well, it can be really tricky. And if you're going around to a friend's house and you need to show that respect and maybe have, the tea that someone's brewed you and poured milk in, then you might just drink it because it's just
kind of social convention almost.
Anyway, I think actually a lot of vegans would disagree with me, but
right, okay.
That for me is just, there's a lot of different ways to think about it, but
yeah,
can be a big leap, yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds as though that you're viewing it in a kind of healthy way. Because I think I heard this quote somewhere I thought was quite funny. It was like everything in moderation, including moderation, and I thought it's brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah. So from that point of view, like, especially if you're on a kind of hard kind of diet, sometimes like having a wee cheat day is great. Like, there's a few times like when I competed, I'll say that very loosely. I never really competed that much in jiu-jitsu and karate and whatnot, but before a competition that ultimately was cancelled, I was kind of gutted at actually. I really cut my weight down quite a lot because I wanted to basically, as you say, cut down your fat as much as possible, just so I'm kind of leaning out. And every so often, like during those 2 months, I was like, you know what, I'll have like, I don't have a whole bowl of rice with my curry or something like that, just to get a wee bit, and I feel as if I'm kind of having a life. I'm not just kind of being a monk almost to this.
Yeah.
And then I think that helped me long term. Like it was quite quite an interesting time. It was like, wow, okay, I'm really dying here.
I think sometimes you need a release, don't you? It's almost like if the pressure's on and you just want to sort of, you want to kind of cave to that like piece of cake or whatever, and then know that you can just get it out your head and just carry on like later on in the week. Then I think I don't think anyone should sort of resist that really, unless it's a common occurrence like every other day or whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
I do think it's everything in moderation in some regards. That sucks that the jiu-jitsu comp was cancelled. What's up with that?
I don't know, just
what
like
happened there?
I don't know. I just got an email from the guy saying, "Sorry, mate, things cancelled," and I was like, "All right."
Oh, great.
I've done all this work, and I'm like, I feel like quite good. I feel like quite shredded and things, and I'm like, "All right, okay." Oh well.
Yeah, did you have another bowl of rice after that?
Yeah, I might have. Yeah. It was alright. It was weird. Yeah, I know, it was great. But it's that way that I don't know if you take alcohol and things, but for that kind of those 2 months when I was kind of cutting weight, I didn't drink anything at all. Like even like non-alcoholic drinks, just nothing like teas and waters and things. But even just that in itself, not that I'm a heavy drinker anyway, but even that in itself, I felt amazing. Afterwards, like you'd wake up on a Sunday morning, you go, wow, okay, sweet, no headache, brilliant, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like small changes like that, but it's more kind of, I suppose a lifestyle change, but as well for a short term. Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I suppose. Don't know if I could.
Yeah, because I think there's a point. Well, there's a point in my life anyway where I started realizing that. Don't want to get too deep into this, but
no, it's fine.
You start realizing that what you eat actually does have an effect on how you feel the next day and in 3 days' time, and you sort of draw that connection between certain foods. Like I know that if I eat a proper healthy salad tonight with all the decent grains and the quinoa and the healthy oils and the whatever, then I'll probably sleep a bit better than having a big bowl of rice and a pizza, because I've had that past experience. And once you sort of remember those experiences, and you kind of you have certain sort of words and adjectives like attached to certain foods, then it's not really, that you're treating yourself by eating a salad. You're not treating yourself by having a pizza in that regard. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for a pizza when mates around, and I'll have a beer or two. But generally, I know that I probably won't be feeling as tip top like you say the next day. But it's up to, it's just your call, isn't it? It's what you want. It's how you want to feel the next day, I think.
Yeah, totally. It's again, it's like things like each country almost has their own way of viewing things, and like what potentially our um, government views as like a healthy diet is so different to like what Canada's viewed. Have you seen that recently? It's like they've
No, go
changed.
on.
They've changed. Let me just think carefully. They've taken out dairy completely
Oh,
from
right.
their kind of food pie chart, as it were. I think like half of it is like fruit and veg. There's a bit of meat and there's like whole grains, and that's
Mhm.
it. Don't even include like bread and carbs and things into it, because you know, like I think in school and things we had these charts, and it's like, oh yeah, you can have a bit of sweet, you have a bit of this, bit of that, and it's like there's
Yeah.
really kind of good research
Quite
here.
cutthroat almost.
Yeah,
Or is that what you mean? Yeah.
yeah, quite cutthroat. Yeah, but I think more evidence has been put in since like the 70s and things, and I think the way Canada's doing it's probably the way forward. Really, you kind of have to really kind of simplify things and yeah, teach everybody to basically eat better, for want of a
Yeah,
better
and
phrase.
it's sort of it's like these things are ingrained in you, aren't they? Like ingrained in families and communities. And where I'm going this weekend, I'm going away for first time I've been away since I started the business
Oh wow, okay.
in 2.5 years. So going away to Tanzania this weekend, and I know that their sort of cultural appreciation of food or like outlook on food is really different, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll eat differently and they'll understand good food and good nutrition completely differently. So I think it's depends on the country and where you are. I'm interested in that though. I've never been. Have you been to Canada? Never been
Canada?
to Canada.
No, never. Been to
No.
America, but not been to Canada.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting that they've cut out the dairy entirely, but there is definitely more evidence to show that the dairy products are sort of out of sync with the human body,
Right, okay.
um, and potentially use a lot more resources than just other alternates and other whole grains and plants like coconut and whatever. So yeah, I can see where that's come from. I think.
Right, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, it's lot of evidence there. I'm kind of intrigued. So, with your trip to Tanzania, like you're saying that their outlook on food is different. Have you like researched much into it, and like have you researched what you'll eat there, basically?
I've been before. I have been before, and when I went before, which was before I started Necessity, I was vegetarian. So I was vegetarian for about a couple of years before I turned to veganism. So I avoided the fish and the meat and all that, and sort of politely declined, and got that translated to
Hmm.
the families I was staying with.
Yeah.
But I was having milk, I was having cheese, I was having all the dairy. I think this time it might be a little bit different. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be eating.
Hmm.
The context is slightly different. I know. I mean, there's going to be loads of avocados. There's going to be loads of rice. There's going to be loads of mandazi, which are these basically like deep fried, really starchy, like plain dough ball things,
All right.
like
Okay.
donuts, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good with a cup of tea.
Good. Okay.
Um,
Very English. Good.
but their diet is a lot more restricted. It's based entirely on what they've got around them.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, as I say, the avocados, the mangoes, the fruits. So it's fairly restricted. I am going to probably eat chicken
Okay.
because I know I'll be getting to this host family and they'll probably slaughter a chicken. They'll probably ask for us to drink the blood. They'll probably cook it, and I'll probably eat it because I think to say I'm vegan to a family that I think I'll be staying with in Tanzania, I think would a be incredibly confusing for them,
Okay. Uh-huh.
because of their context and what they've been brought up on and what they know,
Hmm.
but also perhaps be a little bit disrespectful. And I
Yeah.
think for that moment and for that context, I'm willing to be flexible. It's just I cannot fathom going into Tesco and buying a packed chicken and coming home and cooking it and eating it, because that connection just isn't there. It's just such an entirely different. Just eating chicken in that context and eating chicken in the Tanzanian context when they've raised it organically and it's in their backyard is just so different. So
Yeah, what we probably find is the chicken's probably quite small. Like the chickens that we have, like in Tesco, as you say, or big supermarket, they look quite massive, quite almost grotesque. They look tasty. Don't get me wrong. Like big thighs, big chunks of meat. But and then in contrast to what you're probably going to be eating in Tanzania, it'll probably look quite small, even though it's roughly probably going to be the same age. Really.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they add anything to the chickens in Tesco. I'm not quite sure how they're. I think they're definitely raised different, aren't they? They're kind of, from what I've heard, they're force fed at periods, depending on the farm. But I imagine they'll have a different taste. I'm trying to remember the taste of chicken.
It's been that long.
They say chicken tastes like loads of other stuff, but only like other meat, so I can't actually remember what it tastes like.
Valid point, actually. Yeah, it's unique that way.
Best with gravy, if I remember rightly. But
there's so many things it goes well with. Oh, it's brilliant. But I suppose,
I'll fill you in on how it tastes when I get back.
Yeah, please do, because in a way it'll be quite unique because obviously you've chosen to go to Tanzania. Your host family is probably delighted to have you there, and they want to bestow upon you like a really amazing gift, and that would be a nice meal with their family, and they're probably going to end up choosing like their prized chicken, the one that they love the most, just to show their appreciation. And no, it's going to be quite interesting. And then they'll cook it so differently because it's like East African cuisine. Wow.
Yeah, you're exactly on the right lines though. I know that they will be so happy to welcome us in that way. I say us because I'm going with another friend, but I think in the past when I was there before, I think it was either like a deep fry, like in a bucket load of oil,
right,
or I'm trying to remember how they cook it actually. I think they sometimes add it to sort of a stew and make a stew out of it and serve that with rice.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they eat it actually.
I suppose.
Yeah, I just remember having a lot of plain rice and avocados and beans when I was out there. I'd eat loads of beans out there.
Yeah, I can imagine because they grow quite well in that environment. I'm pretty sure they're just on the ground.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, when I found out that peanuts grew on the ground, it just blew my mind. They're like peas. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, the peanuts are more peas, aren't they, than nuts?
Yeah.
It's weird that we always go, what? They're not nuts, rather than, what? They're not peas?
Yeah.
It's like, there's two words in that word, almost, and I think they're just nuts because they're sort of crunchy, I guess. I don't know what they're called peanuts.
Well, because they're roasted, aren't they?
That's the reason.
They're, So I suppose if you roast a pea, it'll be crunchy as well, so...
I guess, that was kind of a stupid thing for me to say, wasn't it?
I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
No, because you can buy like packets of sort of roasted green peas, can't you, at supermarkets? And,
I'm sure.
I guess they just have them sort of taken off, Maybe there'll be peanut butter. No, not peanut butter.
Sure they already have that.
Peanut butter in the future, who knows? We'll see. Maybe that's a new line for me.
You never know. You always have ideas in random conversations, I found. So.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's pretty awesome. And then you mentioned when we talked before that you did a bit of Taekwondo. So I was just kind of more thinking of a way organically to kind of mention that, I suppose, because it's quite a physically intense sport. And especially with a diet when you're excluding meat, regardless of how tasty it is, I suppose. Have you found that when you exclude meat, when you're doing something quite intense like that, did you feel the same, or was it any difference, I suppose?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. When I was doing Taekwondo at university, I was eating meat. So I remember I had like a whey protein shake a couple of hours before. And then some food with my flatmates when I got back home. It's quite a late session. Now I just go to the gym. So I train in the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and then I run on a Sunday, usually. So I found that really manageable, just eating plants.
All right, okay.
There's a really great company called Raw Sport, so definitely check them out. So they've got a range of branched chain amino acid profile vegan protein powders.
Right, okay.
I think they've got a banana one, they've got a vanilla one, they've got a toffee hemp one, which is really, really delicious. They've got no added sugar as well. So
right, okay.
they're really helpful in that respect. Just eating the right stuff like after the gym, before the gym. But I think if I started taekwondo again, like, I mean, as I'm sure you do with jiu-jitsu, you know sort of roughly when you want to eat before and roughly when you want to eat after. And it's just a balanced diet, isn't it, in and around it, and having a few more calories if you need them. So I think it's fairly straightforward, whatever diet you're on, I think.
Oh, okay. No, just I've heard a lot of people, I've probably mentioned this before, but they kind of moved from a vegan diet to just having some kind of almost animal-based protein, be that in eggs or something like that, just because they felt just more run down after quite intense exercises. Again, the only examples I have is kind of high-level professional sportsmen. A guy called Jake Shields. You can check him out if you want, but he is a long-time veteran of MMA, and he was very publicly vegan, again, for kind of ethical reasons, and fair play to him for that. And he himself kind of said that he had to, for his training camps especially, include some other sources of just protein, just to feel better recovered. Because when you're going and you're doing 2 hours every day, twice a day sometimes as part of your training camp, and you're wrestling, you're doing jiu-jitsu, getting punched in the face, you kind of want to just just recover. See the next day.
I guess he was just like listening to his body, which is what we all do, what we have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there was a gap in his diet somewhere where we had to fill it in. There aren't loads of like sportsmen that are vegan. I think there will be more in the future. I know that there's a few cricketers, there's a few definitely a few celebrities, but I think it is doable. I haven't had that experience myself, obviously, so I think it is. I do think it depends on your lifestyle and your diet, but I think environmental wise, I would always say a vegan diet is probably the best for the environment. But yeah, it's just so much to take into consideration, isn't there, when you're deciding what to eat and what diet you're on.
Totally.
But as you touched on before, like there's a bit more of a movement now towards just cutting down on meat and not necessarily just going vegan, but just saying, right, I've heard a bit about, how it might be better to cut down on meat or to eat a few more fruit and veggies. I'll basically not eat meat on a Monday and a Tuesday, and that way, even if you're not just going vegan and going vegetarian, you're just doing a little bit more for the environment and for animals and the planet, perhaps, than you were previously. And I think that's almost just as important. And just collectively, a lot of people doing that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you, and I think there's an argument for just having just an element of meat or dairy here and there if you feel you need it and you want it. I think that's important as well.
Okay. It's a kind of a small but quite manageable and consistent changes, I think, regardless of what the journey is, but providing, I'd go deep here, I'm talking shite, I suppose, but, I suppose in that way that, you're kind of moving in a positive direction, I suppose. But no.
I think so, I think so. And it also means you end up eating more fruit and veg. It's like this, I think everyone knows that you need to eat loads of fruit and veg. I think what were the guidelines? The guideline amounts from the government were like 5 a day.
Yeah, different.
We now know that it was supposed to be more like 7, and then I think someone else said 9. I can't remember what country.
It was Australia, wasn't it? I'm sure Australia said 7 or 9. Okay.
Yeah, so 9 fruit and veggies a day, portions of. That's a lot. But if you have a day, say on a Monday, where you don't eat the meat and you make veggies like the major part of the meal, then you're just naturally going to hit like higher intake of vitamins and minerals, and that in itself is just, that'll probably make you feel good. So
Yeah,
there's loads of
absolutely.
reasons, aren't there, behind it.
But it's like things like I've kind of going back into like when you eat kind of like berries and things, like you forget how much like you just feel great after eating like some like blueberries or like raspberries and things, especially if they're on
Oh,
season.
a punnet of raspberries,
Yeah,
so good.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Freshly washed, especially because I think what raspberries we in bloom at summertime. So if you're sitting out in the garden or in a park or something, chilling with your pals, family, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, munching on that instead of munching a packet of crisps. I don't know.
Oh,
Something nice about
yeah, so
that.
fresh. I'm so sad and so thrifty, but I'd always go out when the blackberries are out and just pick a handful of them and eat them on the spot, and then take a few home and freeze them and put them in the fridge. And
Nice.
there's things like that are just, I mean, I don't know about Glasgow, I don't know if they're around Glasgow, but where I am anyway,
Yeah.
you can just, there's certain things like the wild garlic's out now. You can just go into woodland and pick some wild garlic, and it's just there. It's just ready for you.
So do you use that like when you pick out wild garlic? Do you just fire that into like a dish, or what would you do with it?
Yeah, it's good in stir fries. It's just good, just like scissored up, like cut it into the pan. Adds a bit more flavour. I sometimes make pesto with it. So just instead of using basil, buying basil in a packet in the supermarket, which is pretty expensive. Just handfuls of wild garlic and seeds and cheese if you're into that, and
Yeah.
loads of oil, and you can just use that with pasta. And well, I don't know why I'm saying what you can eat it with. Everyone knows what they want to eat pasta with, but
Yeah.
it's easy to make. It's free. It's just
Yeah.
around.
Exactly. No, it's just because I think somebody mentioned a wee while back that we've got a lot of wild garlic in our garden. So I was like, "What? Is that what that is?"
Yeah. There's just a small window when it grows. So it grows plentiful, and then it goes away really quickly.
All right.
So
Okay.
it freezes pretty well though. So if you freeze it and then you bring it out again, or if you make a massive batch of pesto and just freeze it in pots, it's
Okay.
proper abundant, but just not for that long. So you
Right.
just got to be like sharpish,
Right. Okay.
on the hunt.
Well, that's good to know. I appreciate that. So now I can actually use my wild garlic that's in the garden.
Oh, delish. Yeah, delish.
Good, yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. I'm just thinking we'll probably look to wrap this up reasonably soon, but one of the things I was going to ask you would be about because you've got, I think, looking at your website, you've got about 4 or 5 different products. Have you got anything that you've got in the pipeline as well? Obviously, you don't have to say any details, covert and things, but are you looking to expand your kind of product range and things?
Yeah, I am. I'm happy to share. You can hear it here first.
Okay, scoop. I like that.
So yeah, one of the things I've been eating a lot more of recently is hemp.
Right. Okay.
Which I think more people are becoming interested in buying. It's pretty grassy, like it's quite a different flavour. But I'll be making a banoffee hemp butter from next month, which will be basically with hemp seeds, coconut, sunflower seeds, mulberries,
Okay.
dried mulberries, delicious,
Wow,
and banana powder and a bit of salt. So that is the whole list of ingredients. So not to go into too much detail, but it's basically real food blended. And then I've got another one in the pipeline as well. But I'll be making it as soon as I get back from Tanzania again, building the stocks up. But 4 at the moment, and one more to come next month.
Cool. Wow. Okay. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that you've got some like bars and things that you're selling that you make yourself. Is that right? Or
Oh right, yeah, the Body Me bars. I don't make them myself actually.
oh right. Okay.
But the founder is a guy named Lee. I met him a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Really, really nice character. Really, really, really nice guy. And he's actually pretty big as well. You know, he does a lot of like workouts and bodybuilding and stuff.
Yeah.
And his bars are vegan and they're organic and they're cold pressed. They're protein bars basically, but a little bit different, a little bit more premium, but really, really delicious. Really good for you. And he makes them in Keynsham, just outside Bristol, where I'm based. So yeah, keen to promote his products as well. Body Me.
Body Me, right? Okay. And then your company is called Nutcessity, is that right?
Nutcessity, yeah.
Grand.
Yeah,
And then you've
an amalgamation of nuts and being a necessity for my diet and other people's diets, I hope. So that's the name.
cool. Okay, that's quite catchy then. and then you've got all your platforms and your website and things.
Yeah, I tend to spend a lot of time on Instagram and Facebook as well. But yeah, my website's just nutcessity.co.uk.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty active on social media, like you've got to be if you're a small business owner, I think, in these sort of times. It's good. It's good to connect with people online.
No, good. I can imagine the community of people that you would have contacting you would be quite small but active. Have you had any kind of really random questions people have asked you at all? Like kind of quite out the box?
Trying to think actually.
No, just out of curiosity, because
yeah, it's nice when people send a message because it just means that they're just really interested and they just want to know a bit more about the products and what they're putting inside their body and that kind of thing. Can't think of anything off the top of my head actually.
because I know the internet is full of people of all sorts of beliefs and all sorts of mental states, I suppose. So, because you're an ultimate.
That's why it's so interesting. That's why it's so interesting speaking to people at markets and seeing who follows me on social media and seeing what they're interested in. And I mean, you could go into it for hours and weekends and weeks and months, but I think that is what keeps me going in what I do, is that there are quite a few people now who keep buying my nut butters, which is just really heartwarming actually. And I mean, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have a business anyway.
Of course, yeah.
I think without that, I'd really struggle. I'd struggle, without the contact with people that I know and I'm starting to get to know. That's so important. There's a whole world of people out there who could try my products, I guess.
Good. Well, I suppose that's what you want. You want the kind of customer base to try it and ultimately love it and keep on coming back for seconds, thirds, and whatever.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to like it, but it's a certain product for a certain person, and I love it. And I think people are starting to try them a little bit more. I just love nut butter. It's brilliant. It's such a versatile ingredient.
Good.
I'll stop there on the nut butter.
No, that's fine. It's what I like is that you're clearly passionate in what you do, which I hope that everybody that listens to it can probably feel that as well. And ultimately, you have to be passionate to run a small business, especially from the ground up as you've done it. So, fair play to you. Ultimately, you have to. You're doing all the right things from my point of view. So, and you can talk about as much as you want, really, as you play.
That's what they say. Like, it's only work if you'd rather be doing something else. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just what I do. It's not really work. It kind of is work, but I don't really think of it as work. It's just my life now. So it's the challenge for me is like growing it as a business and making it profitable, but also trying to fit in a real life around it.
Yeah, totally.
And not being like 100% like every single minute of every day focused on it. But that is quite hard actually. It's hard to refocus onto something else. But I'd certainly, I wouldn't want to do anything else right now.
Good. Well, that's really inspiring actually. I hope that if you're inspiring me, so that's really awesome. Like, you obviously took your idea.
Thanks, man.
No, absolutely. I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. But it's quite amazing to hear somebody that's had an idea, thought about it, and just went, you know what, I'll just do it, and then we'll see what happens. And going on a total amazing tangent is what you're doing. So that's really amazing. So
I'm glad you took the time, first of all, to have this wee chat, and I'm glad we kind of talked about a few things. And is there anything else you wanted to mention at all whilst we're here?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I suppose I want to touch on just one final thing, which is it's not like I also need to be motivated by other people to keep doing this, and I've had a lot of people around me who have given me a little bit of a push and a little bit of motivation, and I think they're so important as well. I suppose anyone listening to this who's got a business, who's been in the downs and the dumps, and they don't quite know what they're going to do the next day and week, the thing that keeps you going is just having those people around you. So I'd say that's as important as anything else. I am, as we said, I'm doing this on my own, but it's not really on my own when you consider the amount of advice I seek and get, and the help I get from other people who've been there and done it before. So it's something I'm really keen to give back in the future when I've got a little bit more time on my hands, and I can maybe give that one piece of advice to someone else, if I can, who's just starting up. Then I'll definitely do that, because that's what I've found over the last couple of years, growing it. So yeah, especially in food and drink, there's a lot of people who are just pushing each other along and keeping each other in check, and I just can't highlight enough how important that is, because without that it's just not going to happen.
It's a powerful message to end that conversation. And before we finish this episode, we remind her to check out Mike's website, www.nutcessity.co.uk, and his company's Instagram and Facebook. So thanks for listening. Let me know what you think. Any comments, feedback, etc. is always welcomed by me. And look out for a new episode soon. See you later.